Howdy, welcome back to the shop. Well, I've already had my first small catastrophe. I wasn't paying attention the other day. I was playing with my mill, and this here is what holds the rail. The reader is actually stationary, but this is the rail for my DRO. This is what it mounts to, and the rail travels, the reader is stationary. When I was putting this together, I remember thinking to myself, I better route this piece of cable underneath of the side here, or it's liable to get pinched or hooked. Well, it did, and I don't know exactly what I did yet, but I think I yanked the wires out of the reader. I hope that's what happened. I hope I didn't break a card in there. So I'm going to take this apart. I've got this kind of haphazardly on my bench. I still have one bolt in the far end of it holding it. This thing weighs about 200 pounds. For our metric friends, that's 14 or 15 stone. So I'll get this took plumb out of there, and we'll get it up on the other bench and see what we got.
Do we need a torch? Do we need a torch?
Okay, now I have drawn myself a picture here of which way this thing goes, because I'm pretty sure if I put it on backward, it won't work. Hey. Oh, that head's spun out. That's lovely. Well, the head of my screws spun out, so I'll be right back.
I want to see.
Well, so far so good. This doesn't appear to be carnage-sized. I'm going to be very, very careful not to yank that ribbon cable, or that little ribbon into, though. Okay, looks like I didn't have to take the end off of it. So here we've got, I see 3 wires that are ripped off of there. The red, the black, and the green. And I've got to look at this a little bit closer and see if there's anything that's marked on this to indicate what goes where. Thankfully, there is a disconnect for this ribbon cable. See if I can get that apart without too much damage. Okay. Okay, now let me just say that I am not a professional solderist, and this is not the right way to do this. But it worked. So I'm going to strip this back, get some fresh wire out of this, and get ready to solder this back together. So I wasn't going to show this, and then it occurred to me that, you know, this is probably going to happen to somebody else. But here's your braided cable that's inside of the corrugated tubing, um, DX, MC cable, whatever you want to call that. This is heat shrink tube here. Okay, and this is a dentist pick, seal pick. You can get them from Harbor Freight, you can get them from the dentist office. And I'm just going through here, and about every other braid, I'm just picking it out. If there's any girls watching, I imagine this is kind of like when Mama combed your hair when you was a little girl. Now we don't need all of that, so I'm just going to take some of it, maybe half of it. And I'm just going to cut the rest off. More heat shrink tubing. Crack torch. Now this little fine wire like this has always been a pain in the butt for me to strip. And I've found the best way for me to strip it is to just use my thumbnail. And these are just a set of helping hands from Harbor Freight. Okay, this is some 1/8 inch, pardon me. This is some 1/8 inch flux core or rosin core solder. and I like to use that for my tinning. I beg your pardon, I'll be right back. Yes, I ask that you please I beg of you, please pardon my hacking cough there. We do not have the coronavirus in Howell County. I am allergic to something and just too daggum stubborn to admit it. Okay, so get these trimmed down the length a little bit. Okie dokie. Now, that's still got a little bit of solder stuck to it. Put my safety glasses on here and we'll blow that little last gram of solder out of there. There we go. Okay, I know the big hole is the shield. Ah. Like I said, I am not a professional sodomizer or solderer. Now, I have a highly technical drawing over here. Here's my CAD drafting stuff here. So I got a screw hole, and then the shield, and then the next color is white. And I'm going to put my optimizers back on so I can actually see what I'm doing. Kind of gives you a little bit of respect for them poor Chinese communists that are having to do this for a living every day. Okay, next to the white is the green. And next to green is an open hole and then black. Open and black. Okie dokie. And the odd one on the far end is red. So okay. Now this is the hardest one because there's a little something deal right there. There we go. Okay, I don't look like I bridged anything with solder. And I didn't make a big old mess out of anything with flux. I need to push that black wire back in just a hair more. See if I get it to go in. And it's always better to do stuff like this after you've had 2 or 3 pots of coffee. I am shaking like a dog passing a peach pit right now. Yeah. That's about as good as that's going to get. I think if I do any more, I'm going to just ruin it. Okie dokie. Let's see what happens. Okay, the stripy side of the ribbon away from the board. Oh, that's tedious. All right, it's together. Let's go see if it works. So, it does work. Everything works about like it ought to on the second try. Now I did have to come in here with some isopropyl rubbing alcohol and an old toothbrush, which rubbing alcohol I think is probably about $23 a gallon right now, being the panic idiots. So anyway, I did clean all of the spots on here where I soldered and got the flux off of it, because flux is conductive. Uh, and I also had, I think, a little bitty dot of solder on between two of the conductors of that ribbon cable, and that was stuck down to it from when I blew everything off. But other than that, you know, and that's just because I don't know what I'm doing. Other than that, it works. So I'm going to call this one a near miss. And I bet you I route that cable different now uh, that I've had a near miss, so that next time it's not a direct hit. So hope y'all enjoyed this. I hope it wasn't too terribly boring. Uh, there you go. I'm going to put this back together, put her together, and go tear something else up. Y'all drive safe. Watch for deer. Now, where did I put them little microscopic screws? Ugh.